Hello, my name is Richard and I am 11 years old. Welcome to my week 3 video tutorial for an introduction to interactive programming in Python on Coursera. What I will be doing today is to help you understand how a canvas works, how drawing coordinates work, how a timer can be implemented into a canvas, and lastly, how you can create random messages in the canvas. So how I am going to do this is I have already prepared a code for you, and this is this. I will provide the link in the forum. And what this does is produces a random message every 0.5 second, which is displayed here, 500 milliseconds. So I will walk you through this code. But before you understand this very basic code, you must run it, and you could probably run it on your own computer. And what's funny is your running of this program will be different from mine. As you can see, my program here displays no actual order of words. It just says happy Halloween, good morning, hi, happy Halloween, hi, good morning, good night, happy Halloween, bye, happy Halloween. And so what I will do now is walk you through it. The first thing first is to import modules. And what modules are things in Python that help you create more things. So random holds a bunch of functions that create random, probably only numbers. I haven't seen a random string creator yet. And import Simple GUI. Simple GUI was created by Mr. Rixner, implemented in CodeSculptor, so don't try to import Simple GUI if you have the Python idle into the Python idle, because it will return error. And the next part is define global variables, and the reason for that is I am creating a global variable message equals empty string. This is the sign for empty string, so message right now is equal to nothing. Next is define the timer, and believe it or not, this is a timer, message handler. And if you forget how to define timers, how to create handlers for anything, or actually almost anything at all, it's all in the docs section right at the top right corner of CodeSculptor right here. And it was referenced many times by the teachers in their video lectures. It has Simple GUI, almost everything that's part of Simple GUI, CodeSculptor, Python. This gives you a basic rundown of the basics of Python, even out of CodeSculptor. And shortcuts is just for different CodeSculptors or key bindings. That's right, key bindings. And I don't even know what that is, so. Back to CodeSculptor. The next part, the timer. I'll see what I can show you. Define message handler. Global message. This is telling Python, or CodeSculptor I should say, that message, the one that we will be referring to, is referring to this message right here, not some local message created all over again. So, global message, and now it is going to change this. Message equals random.random15. Now, you probably haven't even heard of random. What is random? I know rand range, I don't know random. Because the teachers know that Python reads things from 0 to any number, even though that we don't read it that way, the Python reads it that way. That's why they want you to use rand range, to make it easier on you and Python to understand each other. But our brain usually doesn't work that way. We think of inclusive. So if random dot insert function here, and you put two numbers, you would think it would create a random number in between those two numbers, but also including them. So sometimes we get confused when rand range is used, and we think, how come it's not giving us 4 if we use rand range dot 1 to 4? How come it's not giving us 4 or 5? And then we have to compensate by creating RAM range 0 to 6 if we want 0 to 5, which usually doesn't make much sense to us. So randin is another function that also is inclusive to the first, but it's also inclusive to the second, so it makes us more complete in our thinking. This is telling us what message is. So if message equals 1, because message will run this right here, it can run 1 to 5. So if message equals 1, message equals high. Elif, so that means if this is true, it would skip all of these and just go on to the next part. But elif, if this is not true, it'll run this. Message equals 2, message equals bye. Elif, message equals 3, message equals good morning. Elif, message equals 4, message equals good night. Else, message equals happy Halloween. And we just used a complete if, elif, and else statement. So if, elif, and else. Else means if all of these are not true, if all of these are boolean false, then this will run message equals happy Halloween. So this part, and you probably recognize it, and if you don't, then you probably want to watch those video lectures, not even from me, but from the teachers. Of this is the canvas, and because not many people understand how the coordinates in canvas work, I have a coordinate plane prepared. So think of this: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, and follow my mouse, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So it's going counterclockwise. Now completely empty your head of quadrant 1, 2, and 3, and only think of this little box shape formed by these two lines. And this is your canvas, actually. Take away these negatives, so this is your canvas. Each 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And instead of thinking in lines or numbers, think of pixels. And you can think of pixels as tiny millimeters or centimeters or even tiny, tiny, tiny millimeters, which I don't think that is possible. But if you had a canvas 300 by 300, you want to put something in the middle of it, it's probably 150, 150. That's as easy as it gets. And if you want something at the top right corner, you probably don't want to have a high second coordinate, because the second coordinate defines y, defines how low it is in the canvas. The first coordinate you probably want to have almost near the end, so probably if you had 300, probably around 220. And if you wanted to have someone way down but not that far in the x-axis, you probably wanted to have like 5, and that would start here, and maybe 280, and that would probably produce a message right here. So that's the basics. Def drawn handler C. And again, if you need any help with anything, docs is your way to go. It's right here. So draw handler C. So C is what our local variable for the canvas is going to be called. C dot draw text. This is saying on the canvas, draw text now. And so it's going to say draw text message, and this is going to run first, I hope. 130, 150, 12, and red. Now I'm going to explain. 130, 150. These are the coordinates that I said right here. It would probably, 130 would probably be around right here for 300, 300. 130 right here. And 150 you would drop it to the middle. So it should be printed right here. And as you can see, when you run it, it does exactly what I want, except for Happy Halloween. It prints it all the way over here. And you will see it. See that? It just jumped all the way to the right. That's because this is a big string. And you can just as easily put a variable here. So you could put something like num equals 0. And then you can change num for each of these. Experiment with it. And you can actually do that in the code if you get board or anything in my code. And so this is the font. Sorry for jumping around. This is the font. If you have a big number right here, it's probably going to have really big letters. So let's try 25 in my code. And it will have big code, and you will see it will actually jump off the screen. That's why you probably want to have some kind of a variable right here, and then put that variable right here. And I have done that, including for the stopwatch, the game program. And this is just the color. As you can see, it prints red text. And we probably want to change this back to 15 or 10, but I'll just make it 15. Now, F equals simple GUI.create frame. We're all very familiar with this concept, probably by now. And this just creates the frame, and F is the variable that contains that frame. F.setDrawHandler, drawHandler. Now we're not familiar with this. F.setDrawHandler. This is in the docs. It means that you're registering the handler for this canvas that you want now. And please input in the parameters what you want to register. And our function here for the canvas is drawHandler. Totally forget this parameter. Just put drawHandler here. It should work. Message timer. Now what is this? This is actually registering this right here. So simple GUI.create timer. This is the interval in milliseconds. I already told you that. And this is the function or the handler for this timer. And I'm starting the timer here. You don't have to start it in here. In fact, I could create and I will create a button right now. And so to create the button for this, you should put it right around the middle. So it should be define timer start and then timer start, and then you just have no parameters whatsoever. And what this is going to do is message timer.start, and that's what you want. And then now you can delete this, but before you even try to run it, which it will do absolutely nothing, you need to have a button. And to do that, if you forget, we can always look in the docs, and I will look in the docs because I have forgotten. Here it is, buttons, frame.add button, the label, and the button handler. Wow, and this is the width. So, yes, that's what we need. So, f.add button, and this is going to add the button. What do we want the button to be called? It's going to say start messages, and it's going to register timer start, and we don't need a width because it said no width right here. We don't need a width because button 1 didn't have a width. So let's try and do it. Start messages. And it does start it. And as we can see, it is not very centered. Centered. So we should put 100 to 150, and it should be centered now when we hit start messages. So when we hit start messages, this is what the event handler is going to do. It's going to call timer start, as it says f.add button timer start right here. Message timer.start, which is what we removed. So basically, this is all of the program. And if you have any questions on how it works, feel free to comment, and I love to read comments in the comment box right here. Whoops, wrong one. Comment box in Coursera on the discussion forums for student tutorials. And here's a side note. For people that want to know how to record their own videos for free, this is how I do it. It's free and it's browser based. It's called Screencast-O-Matic if you haven't already heard of it. All you have to do is, I think you have to have some kind of toolbar, or not just like a download, or maybe even not a download, and you start recording, click on that, and it will pop up a message right here. If I click on that, that will pause the video. So this is the code, and this should probably go over everything that we had from this whole entire week. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I would like to give a shout out to those of you who had comment before. I love reading your comments, so please keep it up. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and bye bye.